What's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of Gear Breaker Nation, where we get excellent assessment and reviews. And in this review, we're going to be talking about Supergirl Season 1, Episode 3, Fight or Flight. Now, Fight or Flight picks up where Kat ends up doing this interview with Supergirl, and she's drilling her and you can tell Supergirl's kind of getting frustrated, mainly because Kat's kind of still being a douche about it. And then Supergirl ends up slipping and letting out that her and Superman are cousins. I was like, that kind of sucks. I mean, you weren't prepared for this. But it seems like one of those situations that Supergirl just jumped into, impulsively again. So there is that. Then you have Alex and Kara are at this bar or this restaurant, and they're talking. And it comes up that, James ends up appearing there. You can kind of tell that, once again, it's that little crush chemistry thing going right there. So Alex does pick up on that. And there's another point to that storyline, that little romance storyline between the two characters. Of course, now when Kara goes back to work, everybody now across the world knows that that Supergirl and Superman are cousins. So that's kind of a big spoiler for them. And Grant ends up telling Kara that she actually wants to do an expose on Supergirl. And so I thought that was kind of interesting. It would be really nice to kind of see what her perspective of Supergirl is outside of the conversations that she and Kara have from time to time. Also, there ends up being this jam up and this pile up, and so next thing you know, Supergirl goes to this car pile up, and there's this bus that was turned over. So she ends up saving this woman's life, and in the process ends up being attacked by this guy named Reactron, and he uses nuclear energy type energy attacks, and he does somewhat beat Supergirl for the most part, but then Supergirl ends up getting the lucky shot off and ends up damaging his device, and he takes off. Now, one thing, I wasn't really impressed with the whole Reactron look, nor was I really too interested in his powers. I mean, the power itself was kind of interesting, but it's like the show put it in a safe way, and like I didn't care about the design, the powers, because the whole time I'm watching, it's like Supergirl was just constantly kept getting blasted on. She didn't use a super speed or anything like that. She didn't use any of the extreme powers. So that did tend to kind of come off on the wrong foot. I really didn't too much care for that. I mean, I thought it was a pretty cool introduction, and the fight was decent. I mean, it was a pretty good fight, but I didn't too much care for the design of the villain. So the villain, it does end up flying off, and why, for the life of me, Supergirl didn't pursue him, I have no idea. I was trying to figure that out. I was like, he flew, but it didn't like he teleported or anything. Like, she could have just easily jumped on and flew after him. So there is that right there. There's this big conversation between Wynn and James and Kara, and while James is sitting here giving Kara this pep talk, he ends up letting slip that Clark is Superman. And Wynn overhears it, and it's like, James, dude, you sat there and literally held this guy's secret for years, and then you just all of a sudden just spill it out right now. You don't know where Wynn's coming from. Wynn could be a douchebag for all we know. But anyways, so we skip to this one scene where this guy named Maxwell Lord, who I wanted to say would be this show's, I don't know, Lex Luthor, but I'm waiting to see, because I found out in the comics that he formed the Justice League of America. So we'll see about where that comes from. But he does come off of this cocky, rich boy, genius douchebag. And, there's this big meeting that they're having about this train that he's trying to build, and then next Reactron ends up dropping in on them and destroying, not destroying, but he ends up kidnapping Maxwell Lord, who's tried to exchange himself for one of the scientists. So he ends up kidnapping this dude to help repair his suit. And then while he's being kidnapped, you kind of get the backstory of what happened. Why? And the thing about Reactron is he hates Superman, and the reason why he went after Kara is because if he can't get to Superman, he's going to go after Kara. Now, Reactron and Superman in this storyline in this show have gone back and forth over the years, and not really been able to beat each other. Also, Reactron is human. He's not a super-powered being. He doesn't have like super alien advanced technology. He's just a guy that used human technology to build his suit that gives him flight, super strength, and energy projection via nuclear blast. And the reason why he hates Superman is because a few years ago, terrorists ended up, I believe, like setting off this nuclear reaction, and it was about to blow this city up. So what happened was Superman ended up, stopping the terrorists, I believe. He stopped the nuclear, the thing from going nuclear and destroying the city, saving millions of people's lives. But in the process, the guy that's Reactron, him and his wife got hit with radiation. They were like the only two casualties, and his wife died, and he's like severely like irradiated, like he's like boils and stuff like that. So he blames Superman for not being able to save his wife. So that's why he's got this vendetta against Superman, which now has trickled down to Supergirl because he found out that Supergirl is Superman's cousin. So the best way he can hurt Superman is to kill Supergirl. So you get that bit of backstory. Maxwell ends up helping and repairs armor and everything. I kind of thought he was going to do some kind of high-tech manipulation or some kind of agreement thing or try to talk his way out of it, but he didn't. He ended up fixing his suit. And of course, Kara ends up finding him with the help of James and win. And there's another fight between her and Reactron, and again, it's kind of, the fight was pretty cool. Like the close encounter was pretty good, but the whole energy projection, he ends up basically kicking her ass, and before he can kill her, Superman shows up. Now, I thought it was kind of well done the way they did it, because this whole show they don't show Superman per se. You never actually just see him. It's always like in a silhouette or something like that. You're kind of seeing it from the perspective of as if a everyday person will kind of see him. Like you'll see him flying overhead or something like that. But you'll never actually see him like walking down the street or something like that. So it was kind of cool. She's like falling out. She's about to go unconscious, and you just see him just like in a blurred way. See him like just drop right in front of her and chase off old dude, which once again, I didn't understand why he didn't go after Reactron. And for some reason, Superman could not have beaten this guy. But, so she ends up being saved by Superman. She wakes up at her home with Alex and James. She gets pissed at James for calling Superman, and she thinks it's because he don't have any faith in her. But it comes out later on, it's just that James has been used to Superman showing up when bad shit go down. So that's what he did. He called Superman because bad shit was going down. So I thought that was I understood a bit about where she was coming from, but also I think it was a bit childish because it was like, well, this dude saved your life. Both of them saved your life, so you should be a bit more grateful. But she did come off as a little bit of a spoiled brat. Like, I want to do it. It's like, okay, look, you got to did you not listen to the last episode? You got to crawl before you walk, baby. Did you not hear what Cat Grant had told you last episode? But there is that. Also, there is the expose talk between Cat and Grant again. And it was pretty cool how she set it up because Grant is like sitting in the office, like staring up into the air, and next thing you know, Kara comes in talking about this big party that they was gonna that Cat had done in honor of her expose as Supergirl, and of course Kara gives the input on the expose. Cat doesn't like it because it does kind of paint Supergirl out to be kind of a dumbass. But it kind of makes Cat out to be kind of a douchebag too because of how she is, and it's kind of funny. At first it was the scene where she was in the office and she was like listening to she said it was like the ventilation system was messed up and it was like ruining her concentration. And Supergirl's like, well, I have really good hearing and I can't hear anything. So I kind of like that. Then later on, she gets the expose and she gives Kat her opinion of it. And of course, Kat's been a douche and it kind of paints Supergirl to be once again a dumbass. But hey, there's neither here nor there. Okay, so there's the big gala thing. There's people, you know, being cool or whatever at this big party with rich people, and Carrie ends up being late, of course, and there's this kind of like flirtation, romantic thing that's kind of going on between Maxwell and Kat that is kind of like it makes it seem like they've had a romantic relationship in the past, and that is kind of tinkering now because she's a powerful woman, he's a powerful guy, so that kind of meshes. So there's that. Then next you know, Reactron ends up attacking again. He's going after Supergirl, and Winn almost gets killed in the altercation, and Supergirl shows up and saves him, of course. No, there was a big brawl, and then Winn ends up almost getting killed. But James ends up stepping in and risking his life because he tells me, say, hey, you know, Superman's my best friend. What other better way to hurt him is to kill me? So Reactron goes after him. I thought Winn kind of laid there under that column thing a little bit too long since Supergirl had. It's like, Winn, move, dude. Now I'm not gonna lie. One thing I didn't really like about the whole party thing is one point in the party where Winn and Carol are dancing, and you get to see that he's the best friend that likes her, and it's like this could have been a moment for him to kind of stand out and shine, but then James just kind of steps in and just like ruins all of them. It's like, wow, that's a dick move. It's like James. It's like, are you doing this on purpose? You know this dude likes her. Are you doing it on purpose? Because it's like every time these two have a moment together, you just kind of run in and mess it up. And I feel sorry for Winn because James is just around all the time now. So there is that. Anyways, back to the confrontation. They end up finding out that back at the DEO /MIB, Alex is doing research or whatever, and then Hank ends up catching her. Now he did that thing where his eyes glowed red again, and it kind of made me think maybe he was like cyborg or something, but I don't really know. Maybe he's like leading into this show Cyborg, but again, we can't tell if he's empowered, if he's a robot, or if he's an alien. But it was weird because his eyes glowed red, and it made it seem like he knew that Alex was messing with the system. So with the computer system. So I'm like, is he cyborg, and can he like detect stuff like that? It made me think. So she did let him know that Winn and she didn't tell him that Winn and James knew about Supergirl. She just said it was her, Alex, and him. So there was that, and I kind of like that because it showed Alex covering for her. I thought that was pretty cool. But back to the fight. Before the fight and everything, while things were going down and James was getting chased by Reactron, of course, Alex and Hank end up finding a way to defeat Reactron, which again, I was like, I kind of didn't buy it because it was like, well, Superman, this guy's clashed for a couple of years now, and Superman hadn't figured out how to beat this guy? So it turns out that they need to pull off the little reactor thing that's on his chest via Iron Man. But anyways, and cover it in lead to keep it from exploding. So Supergirl does this, looks at this statue, melts it with her eyes, and then put her hand in it and gets the melted lead to coat her hand. She ends up fighting with Reactron again, saving James's life. And after she ends up saving James's life and everything. And so here, she ends up beating Reactron. She ends up taking a few it was kind of cool because he was doing the whole energy thing like this, and she was like blocking him with her hand, and then when he got close enough, she ends up tearing the thing off, and then he's beat. I was like, okay, I kind of buy it. I kind of buy it. So anyways, later on, towards the end of the series, the episode, you have Kara about to apologize to James for what happened, or I guess try to even explore their relationship a bit more, especially the romantic side of it. But then you end up finding James was talking to this chick Lucy, who ends up being Lois Lane's sister. I thought that was a pretty good addition to the whole Lois Lane aspect. They kind of flesh out Lois Lane a bit, cause that's one thing I've never seen in any of the movies and stuff. They don't really flesh out Lois Lane, even in the TV shows. They never really flesh out. I don't remember ever hearing about her parents or if she had any sisters or brothers. And in fact, the only time I ever had any exposition on Lois Lane whatsoever was in Smallville, and she was freaking hot. That girl played the hell out that role. But anyways, so you can tell it's established that those two were in a romantic relationship and that it might continue. And it kind of hurt Kara, so it's like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. It's kind of hurtful. Now you know how Wynn feel every time you're around James. Bam. Now let me stop that. That's messed up. It's just a whole bunch of heartbreak in this show. And then with the last scene, Kara is sitting here texting or emailing Clark, and I thought that was a really interesting way of establishing Clark's character. But I think the show is doing way too much, putting too much effort into not showing Superman. Okay, if you're not going to show Superman, at least you can do a show Clark. I think the conversation would have gone a bit better had Clark actually showed up and talked to her. You don't have to show Superman. You could just at least show the Clark Kent. So I think that would have been a bit better. I didn't really agree with that last part. It's like you already silhouetted him in blurry vision when he saved her at the beginning of the episode. But I also think that the conversation was pretty cool. It was pretty inspiring for her character and everything. So I thought that was pretty good. Anyways, yes. This was a pretty neat episode. It does feel a bit like filler. Reactron, I really did not care for it too much. Okay, he had a decent motivation. I can get behind what he was thinking. The way he got his powers through his suit and all that. Okay, I might buy that. The whole flying aspect, the flying aspect of the design. But I can understand like the super strength and the energy blast, and I can understand how that would be a weakness to a Kryptonian. I would have wished that they'd done a bit more in terms of her using her abilities and establish him more as a formidable opponent, because he was like a D-list villain to me. He wasn't really nobody that'll shine. And in this case, in the case of him being defeated, I wish this would have been like one of those episodes. She would have to take one for the team, you know. He would have beat her, and then later on in the season, they fought again. Like, I would have liked them to do that. Then eventually she beats him. Now, she met him this episode, fought him 3 times, and then beat him in 1 episode. I didn't really too much care for. I wish he would have kind of extended. And that would have gave his villain, it would have raised him up from like a C-list, from a D-list villain to like a C-list. That's why I said it made it feel like filler. And the whole aspect of them trying their best not to put Superman into it. If you don't want to put Superman into it, fine. But at least establish Clark Kent's personality into it. I know they did the little text message at the end, but at the same time, it'd have been better if he'd have just showed up. That'd have been a hell of a lot more meaningful. So, anyway, that's my recap of episode 3 of Supergirl, Fight or Flight. Tell me guys in the comment section below, what did you think about the episode? What did you think about Reactron? What did you think about Superman being silhouetted and blurred vision / text messages or whatever it was they was doing? And what did you think about this whole Wynn and James situation when it comes to, you know, the chemistry with Kara? Because I think it's kind of a dick move. And also, tell me what you guys think about Hank. What is up with the red eyes? Is he got new contacts or something? Is he like part of the cast from like 28 Days Later or something? You know, just give me your ideas on it. And remember guys, join me every Friday for more videos, reviews, top 10s, topics, news, every which way, and even versus things which I'm going to start picking up on more too. And guys, until the next edition of Gearbreaker Nation, keep those gears turning.